Hello, beautiful people. This is me showing up. I am tired, but I have had this message on my heart and I've been wanting to share it, but I keep putting it off. And, something is telling me today just do it tired. And I hope this finds whoever it needs to find. But one of the things that has been on my heart lately has been about glowing up. There's a lot of conversations around glowing up, and I think they're great conversations. Whether it's like from skincare to your physical body, your mind, your health, whatever it is. And what came to me was glowing up emotionally. I think that is a part of the real glow up, when we are able to have that awareness within ourselves and know our emotions, and to become in relationship with our emotions. And I think that is so important because in today's day and age, in this world, I think a lot of people are simply reacting out of hurt and pain, anger, and just reacting because we're taught to react. A lot of people are. Not everyone, but I think a lot of us, including myself, the messages I got growing up were, if you don't like something or something feels off, you just react to it, and don't take a moment to pause and respond. And so, as someone who, I can sense things, I can kind of read between the lines, and sometimes I'm picking up on a lot of information on, the energy of the room, of every space that I'm in. And I've had to learn, first of all, how to like put up energetic boundaries. And at some point, we'll talk about that down the line. And I'm still practicing that. But one of the things that has been in my orbit lately has been really tending to my emotions, because I would notice that there were some instances where like the emotion was really big, or the reaction was really big for what the circumstance was. For instance, like, recently I just worked through like a conflict with a friend of mine, in a way that I responded to something because I got activated by a conversation we are having. A lot of my like deeper inner wounds were coming up through that conversation, and I reacted. I will say that I think I am someone who tends to kind of like, I can be grounded and kind of be like chill, but like it's not that I like pop off, but I definitely can have that defensive side come up. And I will say that I did see some of like the ways that I have improved as far as like responding to people, especially if I'm feeling activated or something really hurt me. But I just felt so overwhelmed with this emotion. We were able to kind of like pause the conversation, get through it in that moment, move on with our night, have a good time, which I think is like another testament to like, being able to kind of like regulate and move forward. And I will say, we were drinking like wine, and so maybe not drinking is like, if you're going to have important conversations or conversations that can be activating, try your best to not have those conversations during that time, because it just adds to like fuel to the flame. But that's just a sidebar. Just, having boundaries with yourself as much as possible, especially if you are engaging in any kind of substance. But So I'm acknowledging all of the ways that I feel like I did show up well, but also, how I responded activated that other person as well. And so I paused, we moved forward. Fast forward, we eventually had a conversation, and we were able to, speak our own personal truths and hold each other, and communicate clearly and thoughtfully and with care. And, I will say that when you're growing up emotionally, it does take that first and foremost, that self awareness, right? Like, I knew that something was going on, I was activated. And also self acceptance and giving yourself grace. It's not about like showing up like a robot and like you're not gonna have any feelings. Like, this is not that. This is not trying to delete your very human nature, right? We're going to get activated. We're gonna get frustrated with people. We're gonna get angry and all those things. It's really just exercising that pause and having the self-awareness, and you have to keep trying at it. I think every time you take the pause, take a deep breath, or say, I need a moment before you continue on with someone, that is, it's just helpful, and it's just a part of the journey. There's no perfect way to go about it. Sometimes you just gotta, fuck up in order to like, or, kind of go the opposite way than you did want to go in order to get yourself aligned again. And also, it is important to be in community with people that truly understand, that try to work to understand you and are open to hearing your truth. And I think that also that co-regulation, that co-nurturance of, I don't really like regulation, but nurturance of one another, it mirrors back to you like, oh, it's a reminder to your body, like to your mind, like, oh, it is safe here. Like, I can have this conversation with this person or say this thing and they're not gonna like blow up at me about it. I know that's not the case for everyone. We're not able to do that with everyone, and it takes discernment, right? Like, there may just be some things that some people you may just need to distance yourself, but some people, it is worth working through it with them. Like, that's what relationships are. None of us come into this perfect. It's not like a linear process, and you're gonna take 20 steps forward. Sometimes you'll feel like you took 50 steps back, and then it springs you forward and sides, all of it. So just understanding like the process, it's not perfect. But doing it with the right people. And if you don't have the right people to do it with, you can do it with yourself. I think another main thing that like helps me to want to tend to my emotions more and have healthier just like responses to situations in life and with people is I think about like, who do I want to become? What type of person do I want to become? What kind of woman, do I want to be, and human do I want to be in this world? And when I think about that, I try to bring that person into every situation. And that helps me a lot because I want to be a person that people can, come to, that I love, or, we can have conversations, or, be open with one another as much as possible. And with that being said too, when you're working on being a responsive person over reactive, this does not mean that like you are becoming like a robot or scripted. Like, being emotionally like mature and growing up is also responding to things that are like responding in a way that is appropriate for the circumstance. Like if something that is in your environment crossed the boundary, like made you angry, you can be angry, like and it's not about like any, committing violence or anything like that. But you can express yourself. There are just ways that it can be done so it is not violent and harmful to other people. And you'll know what that is. So yeah, like, and if you need to speak up, if you need to say a truth that, it could ruffle feathers, if you're doing that within your own integrity and coming from your heart space, then that's real too. And that is also a part of glowing up emotionally. Saying the thing, standing in your own personal truth, being your own sovereign person. That is all a part of it as well. It's not about being scripted or robotic and I have to respond. No, it's being true to you, really. It's really being true to you. Some ways that help me build have helped me to build the skills and confidence is, I pray. I'm not religious, but I definitely, I believe in, a higher power or just like source energy, the universe. And I believe that prayers it's a conversation with that source. And there's only so much as humans that we're able to do on our own, like there's only so much we're able to do on our own. And we need support. Like, and if you have a whole universe behind that got your back, then why not? Like, and so I pray, I call on my elevated ancestors, I call on, spirit, I call on, whatever is true for me and what I, do for that sacred time. And I just say what's on my heart. I say what's pissing me off. I say what's making me happy. I say what I want less of, what I want more of. I just talk about it. I ask for, just some lightness to take off some of the burdens or to help me communicate in a way that feels good, to help me, heal the wounds that are deep in there that, most of us have. If you've grown up in this world, if you've incarnated here, you've probably gone through some shit. So, we're all in this together. We're all digging up a lot, undoing, redoing all of the things. And so I think it's important to, with that being said, the tending to your wounds, because a lot of the time people are responding out of that hurt. They're not seeing through that like clear lens. The lens is through the filter of their life experience or through the filter of, their trauma and things, that have happened to them. And so it's important that we have the understanding that we're human and, we're all looking through a different perspective and lens. And with that being said, it's in order to create a better world and, to have more openness with as we are coexisting with other humans, to tend to those wounds, so we're not just solely like we're not just responding from that. Life is more than that pain and hurt, and that's that's a part of life, but it's not the only part of life. And so I think that's another thing, like journaling, I'm in therapy, talking it out with people that, are really close to me. I talk to myself out loud sometimes, like just to process it out loud. I video myself to hear my voice, I voice note. I go to the water, I go to the beach, talk to the water so it can soak up whatever's on my heart, so then I can come back from a clear space and be able to emotionally, just like get my emotions leveled out, so that I can respond to my world and not solely just be reacting to it constantly. And let's see, I have my notes here. I wanted to make sure I'm covering most things. You know, and I just want to reiterate, like, I think one thing for me, especially with like self-help stuff is like, with this healing stuff, like it can make you feel like there's always something else that comes up, and there is, you know, it's not, it's progress over perfection. And it's not about like coming from a place like you're broken, but more so like a place of like, who do I want to be in this world? Like, what kind of impact do I want to have on myself, the people around me, my family, my friends? You know, when I walk out into the world, like, what do I want to see more of in this world, and how can I be a contribution to that? I think that's like what helps me sometimes. And then also just like honoring your human, I call it human mess. Honor your human mess. We are human. It's messy. You know, like we are just complex beings. But I do believe, even with that, I do believe that we can be more conscious and kind and loving, and nurturing. We need it now more than ever. And so when we're talking about glowing up, glow up in all the ways. Glow up emotionally as well. Nurture your emotions. It's not, I don't know, the word regulating. I don't know. It just doesn't, I say it, you know, but I prefer to say like emotional nurturance. Like, a lot of us need emotional support. We get, like, if you're someone like me, I'm very like, I'm a sensitive person. I am deeply sensitive, like a feeler, and sensor, but I can intellectualize. I'm very like, it's giving, I'm an Aquarius moon, okay? Like, I intellectualize a lot, and I feel like I am someone that, you know, my emotions, I would have loved for them to be nurtured more. I think there was just, you know, based on just like how I grew up, I grew up with a lot of love, and community, but I also needed more emotional support. I kind of like grew up like fast, and I feel like the emotional side of me didn't get as much like care. And so I'm being that care for myself so that I can have healthy relationships with myself and people around me, especially when I think about what kind of world I want to create for myself and for others. So tending to your emotional garden, you know, if you're feeling sad, if you're feeling down, if you're feeling angry, if I was talking to my girlfriend, we were just talking about sacred rage, like, especially just like being a woman, like it's just, if you are a woman of different intersectionalities, like, it's, there's a lot that can be in there. And so we're not spewing it onto everyone else, and not to say it won't happen, you know, but we can do the work, to the exercises to help us to better, come into union and communicate with love, with ourselves and others. But there's a lot of things that are bubbling under our surfaces, and I see it out in the world. I love like just observing people and myself. I observe myself and just the feelings that are inside and what's happening inside of me, and what I see, how other people are responding to the world. And I can just see like the more we keep tending to the emotional side of us, the more we are able to give ourselves grace and give other people grace. and also just create a more joyful world to be in. And I want to contribute to that. And I hope you do too. If you watched it to the end, till this, you probably do. But I'm going to, one last thing is, I am really working to work on my emotions and tending to my emotions. And sometimes I don't get it right. I get annoyed, I get frustrated, or I'll react to something. But I come back. I constantly come back. It's just like going to the gym. I just went to the gym today. I don't always get the movements right, the structure, or, whatever I'm doing, but I keep going back and I'm getting better. I'm building up my endurance. I'm building up my strength. I'm learning the equipment better. It's the same thing with life. And just like when we're trying to be, at our highest operating self as a human, in spirit. And so, also a couple other things I do. I go to the gym, I work out. I try to do at least 3 times a week. 2 if I just have a day where I'm like, I ain't doing that shit. I don't feel like it. But I try to, meditate here and there, go for walks, put the sun on my skin, even if it's for 2 minutes, take deep belly breaths, just taking a second, sometimes just 1 minute, just take a second. We find so much time for so many other things. You can take the time. Find 1 minute for yourself to tend to something, to a part of you. And I use this app. It's like an emotion app that I use. But you can find different apps on, online that you can help track your emotions if you feel comfortable with that. Be discerning with that. But yeah, I just eat your health. I have insurance, and I just got a dietitian. Like, even if you have like Medicaid or anything like that, like, use your insurance, boo. Like, go and look at their insurance. I'm telling you, they be having all kinds of stuff that we can tap into, and you could possibly find a dietitian on there, or a therapist, or whatever. I found a dietitian, and they gave me like an incentive. And so I've been working with her, and it's been really nice, because food, what you put in your body, as I'm about to eat ramen noodles tonight. It's my favorite Asian ramen noodles. And I got some ice cream because it's that time of the month, boo. Okay. And yeah, I'm doing it. I'm doing it. So that's that. And yeah, so tend into your garden, boo. Tend to those emotions. Responding over reacting. And then also giving ourselves grace and full self-acceptance as much as we can. Even the parts we know we can't accept right now, or maybe you never will. Love that shit too. Because at the end of the day, all you got is you, boo, boo. I don't know. I'm cracking myself up. I'm funny. But for real, like, you have you, like, it's you, boo. Like, be your best friend, be your homie. We're doing this. We're starting to chip away at shame. A lot of us are living in so much shame. I hold on to shame and guilt about certain things I've done, or how I've responded, how I did things, reacted, but I've grown from it. It's all about like the person you end up becoming from those situations. None of us get out of this bitch unscathed, okay? So continue to love yourself as much as you can through it. And when you have hard days, how would you want a close person that loves the shit out of you to treat you? What would you need them to say to you in those moments? Be mad at yourself. Go through that, but do the opposite as well. Because our brains are so quick to go to the negative. Go to the other way as well, the positive as well. And, find that deep love within yourself. And if you can't give that to yourself, call on your higher elevated spirit guides, or, God or spirit, your ancestor, whatever you speaks to you. Or if you don't believe in that, do something that feeds you, because you deserve grace. We all deserve grace. So with that being said, let's glow up emotionally together. We got this, boo. And my cat was looking at girl. 2 questions I want to pose. Where in your life do you feel your reactions are running the show? What's one old pattern you're ready to weed out of your emotional garden? I hope this helps you. I want you to know that you're so loved. You are enough. You are worthy. You are here. You're alive. You get to experience all this shit. And I'm doing it right with you, boo. It's crazy. We're doing this together. Okay? You got this. Be kind to yourself. You deserve it. Thank you.